This is the Hagman and Hagman Report for today. It is a wild Wednesday edition. Today is the 21st day of August 2013. I'm Doug Hagman, co-host along with my son Joe Hagman. Together, we are the Hagman and the Hagman Report for our second hour. I gotta say this, folks. You're gonna want to listen to our second hour. We've got a very special guest. I know this man by reputation. I've heard him speak. His name is Kevin Shipp. He's the author of From the Company of Shadows. Kevin Shipp, former CIA officer, former agent on the protective detail of the director and deputy director of the CIA, manager of ongoing operations. An internal security officer, a counterintelligence investigator tasked to ferret moles out of the CIA, a counterterrorism center officer, a protective operations team leader, and a polygrapher. So just so you know what that is, a lie detector. Someone who administers lie detector tests or polygraphs. He wrote this virtual book on the CIA and includes shocking information about his experiences, and he is going to tell a lot tonight, what he can, ladies and gentlemen, what he can about the CIA. So,
Mr.
Kevin Shipp.
Kevin Shipp.
Yep. And I got to tell you, the book, holy cow, From the Company of Shadows.
CIA agent, retired,
and
he is going to tell us about his career, what he went through with publishing his book. And this is going to be an interview you guys were not going to want to miss at all, as my brief conversation with him earlier was interesting, and I could tell he's a very intelligent guy. He's got a lot to say, a lot to reveal, and it is personal because things have happened to him that have hit very close to home. Folks are listening to the Hagman and Hagman Report. We'll be right back after these short messages with our very special guest. Stay with us. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to hour number 2 of the Hagman and Hagman Report. We are joined now by our very special guest, Mr. Kevin Shipp, former CIA agent.
Yeah, if I can jump in here, I saw Mr. Shipp, I believe, or heard Mr. Shipp on an interview. I want to say it might have been in a local CBS interview that was rebroadcast. Talk about an intelligent man. I've also read portions of his book, From the Company of Shadows. Now, he is one of the most widely experienced officers in the CIA. He occupied positions as an agent on the protective detail of the director and deputy director of the CIA. He was a manager of ongoing operations, an internal security officer, a counterintelligence investigator tasked to ferret out moles of the CIA, a counterterrorism center officer, a protective operations team leader, and a polygraph examiner. Now, what in the world, I wonder, what did he do for the CIA? You know, he must have just been, coasting in his career. You talk about a man with a wide array of experience. Well, he wrote a book. It's called From the Company of Shadows. Now,
that title makes me wonder.
No, I got to tell you, revealed in his book accounts of actual CIA internal and external operations, CIA counterintelligence, the turmoil that exists inside the CIA itself. And folks, we've talked about this, the culture of secrecy and its constitutional implications, actual case of CIA cover-up, veiled terrorist activity within the United States, and more. Folks, we are so... I got to tell you, I'm very proud to have the privilege to speak to Mr. Kevin Shipp. Kevin, are you with us?
Yeah, hey, Doug and Joe, thanks for having me.
Oh, man, it's our pleasure. Do you mind if we call you Kevin?
Absolutely, please do.
All right. Well, Kevin, I got to tell you, a great book. I ordered it just before showtime. I just want to tell you that, from your website. And, folks, the website is Kevin Shipp with 2 P's, kevinshipp.com. And you can go to HomelandSecurityUS.com for hard links to his website. Kevin, we're going to give you the microphone, and you just take us where you want to take us.
Sure. Thank you, Doug. And the website is kevinmshipp.com.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's quite all right. There's other Kevin Shipps out there that are unfortunately probably getting nasty messages from the Middle East that were meant for me, so that may be a good thing. Anyway, I'll go into a little bit of my background for you all, then get into the story here. We're going to be talking about, as you mentioned, I was an internal security officer. I was on the protective detail for the director of the CIA, then William Casey, and that was during the Iran-Contra scandal when things inside the CIA were white hot. Tremendous controversy was going on. Bob Woodward had come out and said that he had snuck into the director's room and gotten him to admit his participation in the Iran-Contra scandal. I was one of the agents that occupied the hot seat outside the director's room. I can tell you that event probably is not true. We caught Mr. Woodward and gracefully showed him the door. So he wrote that in his book, Veil, The Secret Wars of the CIA, and he's a good journalist, a good man, has done a lot of good work. I like his work, but in that particular case, in the book, I dispute that visit because I don't think it ever happened. During that time, we saw one of the most inspiring events I think maybe we'll ever see, and that was the fall of the Soviet Union. Incredibly inspiring event to see that happen, and it's something that all of us as CIA officers had worked for and dreamed of, and the agency had for years. It was just phenomenal. The sad part was, for me, as I went through my career years down the road, was I was to begin to see the erosion of my own freedom in my own country, slowly and gradually to the point we have today. So it was quite a reversal. I participated in several counterterrorism missions, some of which could have been a one-way assignment, so we had to set things in order before we left. I've been to about around 20 countries, I guess. I was a Category 1 decorated officer, humbly, and I loved the agency and was dedicated to my country. Really, it was everything for me. I was also a counterintelligence officer, and we were a special office that was created and tasked with searching for moles inside the CIA after the Aldrich Ames espionage case and leading up to Robert Hanssen. Excuse me. And the CIA was in a complete uproar. A massive amount of highly classified information was turned over to the Soviets by those two essentially double agents. Hundreds in the counterintelligence center, we were, quote-unquote, interviewing people, and hundreds of people were being investigated. Lots of lives and careers were ruined, and it was just a very, very difficult and dark time for the CIA, and difficult, at least for me, having to participate in that part of things. The information, national security information, that was lost through those two cases, Ames and Hanssen, is unthinkable. And Americans were never really told the extent of the damage that was done from the information they turned over. It was absolutely huge. And the sad part is this wasn't caused by a foreign enemy, by a war, by someone penetrating our system. Really, it was caused by our own government's own failure to protect its information and some of the information of our assets. And that's just the way government functions. When it gets big, it gets more inefficient. For me personally, as I rose up through the ranks, my personal wake-up call came while I was doing an international security investigation. During that investigation, I uncovered, essentially stumbled across what appeared to be a global vulnerability to the identities of our agents in several different countries. And the vulnerability was, and I can't go obviously into detail, but what it did was it enabled foreign agents to locate the identities of our agents in their country. Excuse me. So I did about a several-month investigation on that. The more I looked into this inside the CIA, the worse it became. So at the end of about 6 months, I wrote a detailed report, submitted it to the top channels of the CIA, advised that it was pretty apparent that foreign agents could identify our cover agents overseas, and if they could do that, of course, they could eliminate them. So it was a dangerous situation. I would have thought that the CIA would have lauded that and cheered on that investigation. I think probably anybody would think that. However, my report was destroyed 3 times by the office that it was sent to. I resubmitted it, hand-carried it there twice, called back, and they said they couldn't find it. This went on and on for about a month. Then I checked the server, the internal server for the report that I'd written and sent, and it had literally been erased from the internal server and eliminated from the CIA database. So obviously I was shocked as dedicated officer. I began receiving threatening phone calls from senior CIA officers ordering me to drop this investigation or my career basically would be over. These are coming through the internal phone from my own superiors. I couldn't figure out why in the world they would not want this hole plugged. So I had a decision to make. Basically, my career was at stake. And I remember going home that evening thinking, what am I to do about this? And after a good bit of thought and a little bit of prayer, I decided I just can't let this go. I mean, some of our people out there could be killed. So I went back and decided I was just going to push it through and let them do what they wanted to do. And through an act of really providence, the Department of State Inspector General's office got a copy of my report, read through it, and they were relatively alarmed. They called me, took the investigation over. They did the investigation themselves, and they found that it was far worse than I even thought. And after a large global investigation and a huge report put out to the intelligence community, the CIA was publicly rebuked for putting the lives of his agents at risk. And I talk about that in the book a little bit. However, at that point, I had a target on my back, and you could just kind of sense that there were eyes, people just waiting for me down the road a little bit. So I was in the belly. Yes,
Kevin, tell me about what time, or what year this was, what administration this was.
This is in 1994.
Okay, all right. Go ahead.
Thank you. After this public rebuke and the turmoil that it caused, they created a big task force and went in to fix that problem, but only after really they were forced to do so. So I began to see an agency that was more concerned with covering its mistakes and negligence than protecting its own people, and that was a defining moment for me. Of course, I was in the belly of the beast, and I began to see the lengths that the CIA would go to conceal unconstitutional operations. They were hiding information from Congress. Now, granted, at least this used to be a constitutional government. I don't think it is any longer. But they were hiding information from Congress, and anyone inside who challenged what the agency was doing was pretty summarily silenced. I'll get into that a little bit later. And sorry if I talk too much, guys. Feel free, please. You're the host to jump in.
This is fascinating. We're going to give you free reign, Kevin, because what you've got to say is so important. And folks, again, Kevin's website is Kevin M. Shipp, SHIPP.com. You can go to HomelandSecurityUS.com. Click on the hard link to his website. It is correct there. And grab a hold of his, get a copy of his book. But go ahead, Mr. Shipp.
Yep, thanks, Doug. Thanks. And as I go into my personal story, and I saw actually what the CIA would do and what they really did personally to my family, specifically my wife and kids, let me lay out where we are now since that happened in the United States. We're in a post-constitutional government, and we live in essentially what is almost an electronic concentration camp. In that, we live in a surveillance state where all U.S. citizens, all of us, as we all know now, are being monitored and are potential suspects from the NSA program and the information they're disseminating to law enforcement for arrest without warrants. We now have a secret government that exists outside of our constitutional government, and that is the intelligence community. There are 1,271 secret sites in the United States with a domestic mission only, not a foreign mission, a domestic mission focused on internal to the U.S. and on U.S. citizens. That includes the NSA sites, there are CIA sites, FBI, and Department of Homeland Security sites within the United States operating to such an extent that not even Congress knows how expansive this secret government is. It's very alarming. They have a sophisticated. I'm sorry.
What's that number again? 1,000.
There are 1,271 secret sites within the United States.
Wow.
Then their mission is focused domestically, not in the foreign field. Since 9/11.
But isn't that against the charter of the CIA?
Yes, it is. The CIA's charter originally was created with a foreign mission and a foreign mission only. And what they have done is inserted themselves into law enforcement fusion centers. In just about every city in the United States, you will have a CIA person in that fusion center. So it has now turned internally into the United States itself. And that is what the Truman administration and others decried when the CIA was created. They were afraid it was going to turn into that sort of thing. Well, guess what, folks? It has.